What's going on, everybody? Michael here, and I appreciate you so much following me over to my newsletter so I can present this class on specifically water, but distilled water, because a lot of what I'm going to say in here isn't necessarily conducive to the mainstream ideology that's out there, and I didn't want to risk getting banned. And a lot of this information is specifically for people that truly understand the concepts that I'm going to be talking about. All right? So distilled water is the truth when it comes to water, and I'm going to explain to you why. But if you go Googling it, you're going to find a lot of information that is going to make you question it and stray it. So I encourage each and every one of you to look beyond the information you're going to find on the mainstream sources like Google, because remember, health doesn't make people money. It doesn't make anybody rich. Google is completely owned by the pharmaceutical companies, by the people that want to make money on keeping people sick. So when there's something like this that can dramatically change someone's life, there is a lot of supporting evidence on this, but you have to dig for it. It's not going to pop up on Google. And a lot of times they take stuff down that really helps people, and it's all for a reason. So if you don't understand that concept, or if you think that is a bunch of bogus whatever, I still encourage you to listen to what I'm going to say. Try to prove me wrong. Look into the information that I'm going to send to you or show you, and you'll be able to make the judgment for yourself. When I first came across distilled water, I did just that. I found all the information that talked about how negative it was, but then I found people that were healing themselves from distilled water, and I found a health institute that gave it to all their patients, and I started to find different doctors that ran detox centers and fasting retreats and all sorts of things that people were healing many different health challenges, and they were all using distilled water. And then I started to research on my own. I read books on it, and now I personally, my wife, my family, I've given it to a ton of my clients. For over 8 years, been drinking distilled water. I've had blood tests run. My blood tests are perfect. My wife has had her blood tests run. Hers are perfect. All the people that I've given distilled water to, they've had all sorts of medical challenges become balanced and equalized. A lot of times your skin clears up, your eyesight gets better, your joints will feel better, your organs function better because of the pure water. So now I'm going to explain to you what distilled water actually is, okay? And before I begin, I want to, you don't have to do a close-up for this one. This book, The Choice is Clear, by Dr. Alan E. Bank. The reason I'm recommending this book is because it's short. You can read it in like 30 minutes, and you'll be a pro on distilled water. All right? And in this book, he describes all the myths that's out there. He worked with like hundreds of patients, okay? And this information that he gives in this book, it's not being told. You have to really dig for this kind of stuff. So please get this book. You can get it on Amazon. It's like $7. And you're going to see a lot of the science, like the studies that are done with distilled water and other doctors and practitioners that have used this. Now, this book was written in the 70s, I think, but this technology of distillation has been around a really long time, and it works very well. Okay, so get this book, and now we're going to begin on distilled water. Okay, distilled water is very simple. It's a process of boiling the water, collecting the steam, condensing it, and just taking the condensed water into a glass. That's all distillation is. Okay, so another name for distilled is pure, because all you're getting is the H2O, the hydrogen, the 2 molecules of hydrogen, and the 1 molecule of oxygen. H2O. Right? That is all you're getting. 99.9% of everything else is stripped from it. Okay? These machines do a wonderful job, which I'm going to explain to you how to use the 2 machines that I've been using for 8 years. Okay? But So when you have just H2O, yes, it is devoid of minerals. It is devoid of electrolytes. It has nothing else in it. But you have to understand, rainwater is also distilled. Okay? But rainwater comes down through our toxic atmosphere, collecting all the stuff in our atmosphere. You don't want to drink rainwater if you're anywhere near a city unless you're in the Himalayan mountains somewhere. Okay? Because it becomes very acidic as it comes down through our atmosphere. You know, we have fog and smog and all this toxic stuff radiating up into our atmosphere, and the rain collects it all. Now, here's the beauty of distilled water. Distilled water is a negatively charged water. Okay? You are a negatively charged human being. Organic material is negatively charged. So when distilled water goes through your body, it helps remove all the things that cause arthritis, organ dysfunction, that gets in the way of clear eyesight, clear thinking, that causes brain fog, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, all these weird issues that people have, right? This is a huge staple in health, okay? So, when you drink distilled water, yes, it has no minerals in it. We do not get our minerals from water, and here's why. You ever wonder why you don't eat dirt and you don't drink like the sediment out of a creek bed, or all this water that runs over all these different types of elements in the earth? It's because when a plant, like a tree, a fruit tree, or a vegetable, takes in those inorganic elements out of the water or out of the ground, they transform them into organic elements for you. Vitamins and minerals, trace minerals, things like that. They're the things that your body can process, okay? So the water that's filled with all this iron and magnesium and calcium, it's all inorganic stuff that hasn't been broken down for your body to be able to use. And what happens is when we drink water that is high in this content, like well water, right? It has a lot of TDS, which is total dissolved solids, in it. Then it stores in our body and it makes our organs work so much harder. So we drink distilled water. This is like a cure for the modern world. Yes, people are like, 100 years ago we didn't have distilled water. We're not dealing with the same planet. We're not dealing with the same human beings. That doesn't work anymore, that comment, So, distilled water helps clear out the heavy metals, the residual gunk that's causing illness in your life. Yes, there's a lot more to health. There's a complete package, but water is like half the pie, okay? So I want you to look into everything that I just said, okay? But once again, here is what you're going to run into a wall when people are going to ask you about distilled water. It removes all the minerals out of your body. It removes minerals out of your body, but only the stuff that your body isn't using. Okay? I personally, and many people, I know people that have been drinking distilled water for 60 years. Okay? An entire health institute. I'm a certified coach and mentor for the Hippocrates Health Institute that deals with some of the sickest people I've ever come across. Okay? And it is not hurting anyone. It's not hurting me. It's not hurting the hundreds of people that I know that drink distilled water. It's all regurgitated bad information that starts from an impure source. So I want you, there's videos on YouTube of people that are 80, 90 years old talking about how they've been drinking distilled water. And it's one of their biggest things that they recommend people for health. Okay? So do your own research. All right? That's the biggest thing. But you're going to run across the comment. It leaches minerals from your body. It does not leach minerals from your body that your body can use. It only leaches things out of your body that is not good for you. Period. Now, the second thing is I'm going to show you a test. All right? This is called a TDS meter. All right? Very cheap on Amazon. You can buy these. They're called a TDS meter. Now, what TDS stands for is total dissolved solids, meaning other particles in the water. We don't know if it's a toxic particle. We don't know if it's an inorganic element, like a bunch of dirt or something. We don't know what it is. We just know that there's a lot of other stuff floating around in there. So I'm going to show you what the TDS reading is for my well water. I drank the well water for years. Okay, this is my personal well water. All right. And I'm going to come over here and show you. See that? 213. That's a pretty high TDS reading. Now, it's not saying that that's toxic particles floating around in my water. That's just saying that there's a lot of extra stuff that doesn't need to be in your water. So I want you to understand this. This is very important. It's not that it's toxic. We don't know what it is. It's just saying that there's a lot of stuff in there. So now I'm going to go over to my distiller, which I'm going to explain to you later. I'm just going to quick grab my distilled water. Now I'm going to bring this over to you. And this says 0.05, 0.06. Okay? Now, that is almost completely pure. All right? This machine here gets it down to like 0, almost 0 to 2 ppm. But also the reason why it probably was 0.5 in here is because I just used well water in the same glass and there may be some stuff in here. But 0.05 ppm is like unheard of. No filters, reverse osmosis, nothing else out there is going to get your water down to 0 ppm. 0 ppm means you're drinking only water. You're drinking only water. There's no other residual stuff in there, which means when it goes through your body, your kidneys, your liver, your stomach, all the little capillaries, all the little tubules in your kidneys, right? It helps clean them out. It gives you like clean oil for your body to function. So it's very important that you understand these because people put myths out there and then they make you judge yourself. So you have to be confident in the decisions that you're making. Okay? So now I'm going to show you how to deal with your water when you buy the distiller. Okay? I'm not affiliated with this company whatsoever. I try to get an affiliation. They don't really do it. But I'm recommending this to all of you because this is going to make you healthy. H2O Labs, H2OLabs.com will have this machine, the Mega Home Water Distiller. And you're going to want the one that gives you glass. You always, always, always want your distilled water to be kept in glass. Okay? Now, this is how it works. Okay? You're going to remove the lid. You're going to fill this with your water. Okay. Just like this. Okay? It takes 1 gallon of water. You're going to put the lid back on. And then you have a little, you can put that down. You're going to have a charcoal filter that comes with it. It goes in this little exit spout here and it just gets clipped up in here. Oh, I'm having trouble here. There we go. See? So the distilled water runs through that filter as a charcoal filter as like a last kind of complement to just remove any VOCs out of the water that may be sitting there. And then you're just going to line this up. It takes 4 hours to make a gallon of water. So hey, if you're a family of 2, a family of 3, this thing's just always going to be running. It doesn't raise your electric bill. It's a very simple machine. It's about the size of a coffee maker, and it sounds like a very quiet fan running. Okay? But you can take tap water out of the city. No matter where you are, this will remove the fluoride. This will remove the pharmaceutical residue. This will remove the chlorine and the ammonia that gets put into your municipal water. Municipal water is not good for you. And the bigger the city, the more toxic it is. If you're in a little small place somewhere, they might have higher standards. But municipal water is treated with chlorine, is treated with chemicals, ammonia. There's carcinogens in your water. And the biggest thing in the modern world is the pharmaceutical residue, because everybody is pooping out drugs. Everybody is flushing their drugs down the toilet into the water supply. Mental medications, all sorts of stuff is in the water. It just makes sense, does it not? How many people do you know that are pushing pills down the toilet? It's coming through people's bodies out into the system, and they're not removing it. There's almost no way to remove the pharmaceutical residue other than extremely expensive ceramic filters and extremely expensive high-grade filtration systems. But all you need to get is a distiller. For $250, you will never need to buy bottled water again. You will have control over your water. Hey, you live in New York City, you live somewhere in the world, out in California somewhere in these cities where the water is disgusting. You're going to see the residue that's left over at the bottom of this when it's done. And it's brown or it's orange and it smells horrible. And that is going in your body. And you're going to understand what I'm saying after your first time using this. I literally was just out in Denver, and I travel with this everywhere I go because I refuse to drink the water at places. And then I looked down in the container and I showed the people I was living with, and they were like, oh my God, it was brown. It was like, it had brown chunks in it, left over. Clean water over here, leftover shit over here, literally. Okay? Now, one more thing I'm going to touch base on. Bottled water. It's glorified tap water most of the time. They add synthetic stuff into the water to make it taste good. And I'm not going to call any brands out, but I know one brand in particular that adds a laxative into their water to make it taste better. And I know this because he did his dissertation in school on water bottles companies, and he told me all about it, and then I looked into it a little bit more. So you don't want to look, these bottled water companies, they're not in it. They're like, they're billion-dollar companies. They're not in it to give you pure water. I don't care what the advertisement says, okay? It's very important you understand how important water is for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to get one of these, a glass water bottle or a glass jar made in the USA, BPA free, and you're going to carry that around with you. And you're only going to drink water out of glass. Now, we store our water in this so the sunlight can hit it again, right? It's important that it's like you can start, this is a whole other topic, but you can start to restructure your water after a while. So you can get a nice glass water holder. This holds about a gallon, and then you can have this running while you already have a gallon full sitting there. So you always have clean water. You can give your pets it. You can cook with it, because remember, if you're cooking all this toxic stuff with your food, it's in your food. So, and this is important. This is a half gallon, all right? So if you're 150 pounds or more, you can easily get in a half a gallon a day. In a couple days even, but definitely a couple weeks, you're going to notice a difference in your health. You're going to feel better. If you're under 150 pounds, try to get about 40 to 45 ounces in you of distilled water. And you're going to notice a difference. All right? So one thing I wanted to show you is the distillation machine that I upgraded to, because I used this for years, and then I was like 100% sold on distilled water, and I upgraded because it's me, my wife, and my 2 dogs, and we use distilled water for everything. So I'm going to show you the machine that I use now. Now, this is a Duristill. This gives me 15 gallons a day, okay? And what it does is this big thing heats up and condenses water, and it drips down into this, and this is filled with water, and then we just have a spigot that we get water out of right here. And we run it every night for like 8 hours, and it just gives us water. All right, and it's an automatic feed. I don't have to fill it. I have it plugged into a water line down here, all right, from my basement, and this thing just runs. And I have access to pure water. These are around $1,500, but it's an investment on your life. Think about it. We all have $1,000 phones, $1,000 TVs. We drive new cars, all this stuff. But when it comes to our health, people make excuses why not to buy it. And they're the people that never find complete health. But if you're the type of person that says, you know what this guy's making sense, what this guy's saying is making sense, $1,500, I can have pure water for me and my family forever. Don't have to buy bottled water. Don't have to drink the tap water. No more filters. You know, all this. Britas don't do anything. They do like a little bit. But Britas don't really do much. All these filters that are sold to you, they don't really do much. You won't have to buy filters anymore. This is going to pay yourself back. You never have to worry about changing filters out and everything like that. All right? So this Duristill, you go to h2olabs.com, sells this too. Okay? If you want, please schedule a greeting call with me. On my links, you'll see a greeting call, and you can do a consultation with me if you want to know a little bit more about any of this, how these machines work, or anything like that. I'm here. You can schedule the greeting call. I'll spend 20 minutes with you, 20 to 30 minutes. If you want to look into the health coaching that I do, I can really help people get through some weird health challenges that they can't seem to be getting fixed. Because a lot of the stuff that I do, you're not going to find on the mainstream, but this is how I healed myself. So from person to person, I was a man. I had chronic fatigue. I had adrenal fatigue. I had brain fog. My body was toxic and shutting down. I was very sick. I hurt my back to the point I could barely walk for 3 years. I was extremely sick. I thought my life was over. I was extremely constipated. My guts were messed up. Everything hurt. I couldn't think right. I had anxiety, depression, everything. So in order to climb out of that, we must do some unique things sometimes. So if what I said makes sense to you, there's a lot of other things and even different ways to work with distilled water that I recommend and that I coach people on. But also the spiritual and mental aspects of healing is important, which is, once again, distilled water helps purify the mind and the brain and remove the chemicals out of the brain, the pituitary system, the pineal gland, to help you feel better, think better, and connect better to the divine. So it's all connected. So please, thank you for subscribing to this video, but make sure you connect with me if you ever want to work with me in this way. I'm here for you. God bless. Be well.